Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about emotional self-awareness. I told you guys before that I was going to break down each of the emotional intelligence skills that are involved in the EQI 2.0 framework, which is what I'm most familiar with and what I use to define a lot of these different skills. So today is emotional self-awareness, and emotional self-awareness actually falls under one of the 5 main composites in the model, which in this particular case would be self-perception. Now, to quickly break down self-perception is basically our inner self. And so it has to do with how in touch we are with our feelings, how good we feel about ourselves and what we're doing in life. And success in this space kind of equates to being aware of our feelings, feeling strong mentally, and having confidence in the pursuit of our life goals. So tying that back into emotional self-awareness, to define it, it's really the ability to, again, recognize our feelings, differentiate between them, know why our feelings are these feelings, or why we're having these feelings rather, and really to recognize the impact that our feelings are having on others around us. Okay, and some decent examples of this would be, most of us have seen the show The Office and are familiar with the character Michael Scott. So Michael Scott would actually be the perfect example of someone who is not utilizing emotional self-awareness effectively. He often goes on and says things and does things throughout each episode that end up resulting in the exact opposite of what he had in mind. He has no awareness of other people's emotions, including his own, and how it's affecting the people around him. If you have not seen that show for whatever reason, another example would be, we've all seen it, that extremely frustrated, angry guy in the airport who is, again, completely unaware and oblivious to how his own anger is affecting his situation. He thinks that by yelling extremely loud at the front desk lady, he's going to be able to change his situation with his flight, his canceled flight, or his delayed flight. When in fact, had he have understood how angry he was, he may have been able to manage that a little bit more effectively, spoken to the front desk lady more effectively again, and possibly gotten a little bit better of an outcome than he did prior to. So that's what it looks like in people who are not using it effectively. Now, what does emotional self-awareness look like in someone who is using it effectively and does have a high level of emotional intelligence? For one, we're able to react to uncontrollable factors better. So just like the guy at the airport, or just like any other life situation that happens that's uncontrollable, people with higher emotional self-awareness are able to react to these things better. And we've all heard the quote, life is not what happens to you, or it's 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how we react to it. 100% true, and I think we can all kind of relate to that in many different ways. So that's one. Another thing would be our ability to face disappointment better and bounce back faster. So if you're able to kind of manage your emotions and understand what feelings you're having and why you're having them, and then taking it a step further and the impact that they're having on the people around you, then you're able to kind of, again, bounce back from disappointing times in your life quicker and get on to that next thing and just keep moving forward and treat it as a lesson rather than a failure. So it's that growth mindset that this really starts from. The third thing would be the ability to predict the response of others more effectively. You can always kind of tell in someone who's less emotionally aware and more emotionally aware when they speak to people in a certain way and are extremely surprised by the reaction that the other person has. If you've ever experienced, high levels of emotional self-awareness, you're able to kind of know what the person is going to feel and express after you tell them something specific. So a few things that we can do to kind of help us get better at this specific skill. One, with all emotional intelligence, keep a journal. Whether that's something that you're filling out daily or weekly, just as frequently as you can. At the end of each day or week, again, if if you can write down specific scenarios where you experienced particular emotions and just kind of feedback, write down what it is you were feeling it, trying to figure out why you were feeling it at that time, and then maybe the impact that it was having on yourself and the people around you. That exercise alone is going to help improve the awareness that you're having with your emotions. Another thing that's extremely important, I think, and a lot of people our age and my age as well today, is meditation. It's talked about in many different ways, but if you can find an easy way to implement that into your day-to-day, or at least a few times a week, it's going to improve your emotional self-awareness and your overall emotional intelligence way better. Another thing that you can do specifically with emotional self-awareness is talking with a counselor or a therapist. Often has some sort of negative connotation on it, but most cases, these people are experts in what they do. They're not simply experts in your life, but they know how to kind of invoke a feedback loop so that you can kind of become more aware on the emotions you're having and the impact that they're having on you and the people around you. Lastly, please reach out to me, connect with me, let me understand a little bit more about your situation, and we can talk through certain scenarios that you've had and experienced, and then I can give you specific strategies and tips to help you practice day to day that experts have already come up with. And these things are really helpful to kind of just implement into the weekly rituals that you already have. So that's really it for emotional self-awareness. Next time I'll break down another skill, and please again reach out to me. And for these videos, like, share, subscribe if you're on YouTube, and see y'all next time. Thanks.